On this week's show, I like karate. Do you like karate, baby? That's right, we're talking Karate Kid Part 3. I'm Neff Knowles.
I'm Laura Medeiros.
I'm Ronnie Guzman.
And I'm Megan Swain.
And this is Bad with Numbers. So, any of you guys budding martial artists?
Yes.
No.
Sadly, no.
Oh, Laura, that was a yes from you.
Yeah, I took karate when I was in elementary school, and it turns out that like one of the teachers at my school ran a karate class, so she would actually take me to the YMCA or like wherever she would teach, and then my mom would pick me up after work. And yeah, I got to a solid yellow belt before I was upset that the boy that I liked got the orange belt and I didn't, and then I quit.
Aww.
Because my tiny heart was broken.
Aww. Wait, and that was at like a YMCA? Is that what they do? Is that what they do at YMCAs? I'm not really familiar with YMCAs.
Yeah, it was either one of those or like a community center. It was when I was really young.
Wait, why did you quit? Just because he was higher?
Yeah, because I wasn't progressing as fast as I would like, which means keeping up with the kid that I liked.
Oh.
Who looked kind of like Harry Potter. He was a real nerd. But like it was just one of those things where I couldn't get the kata right.
Yeah.
And I would like to go back, like thinking back on it, because I remember anytime that I drink red Powerade, I think of those classes, because I used to have one every break, and it was my favorite thing ever.
The red Powerade.
Yeah, red Powerade. That was like the best part, because I was allowed to have it.
I did karate around about probably the same age. I think I started when I was like 9, and it was totally on the back of movies like The Karate Kid. But I grew up in a very small village in Scotland, and there was like 300 people in this village. But we had karate lessons in the local village hall, and the instructor, just to confirm some stereotypes about Scottish people, the instructor was actually my mum's cousin, who I didn't really know, and they were like kind of distant cousins. They weren't particularly close or anything, but anyway, he was this guy called Kenny, and everybody in the village respected him for being this amazing karate teacher that, like, you know, knew all the moves, could beat anybody in a fight. So obviously, like, all the kids flocked to get lessons in fighting from him, right? So we all really looked up to him. And then one night he was out in the nearby town drinking with some mates, and apparently they got into like a scuffle with a couple of bouncers at a nightclub, and Kenny tried to pull some karate moves on these bouncers, and these bouncers beat the living shit out of him.
Oh no.
And when word of that got around, yeah, attendance kind of started to dwindle at that karate club.
Yeah. I
Nice.
don't know, because it's supposed to be like self-defense, and if he got the shit beat out of him, then he ain't doing his job.
Turned out he wasn't so good at karate after all. Never mind. I'm sure he's doing something different nowadays. Who knows? I haven't heard from that guy in like 20 years.
Nah.
Anyway, welcome to Bad with Numbers, a podcast about mostly terrible sequels. This week on the show, we are talking about The Karate Kid Part 3 from the year 1989, directed by John G. Avildsen. He also directed Rocky, and if you've seen the original Karate Kid, you might notice that those two movies are pretty much the same film.
Well, any sports movie.
It's very much the underdog tale, right?
I don't know if I've seen the first Rocky in full, but didn't he lose?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Does Daniel lose in the first?
No,
Movie?
he does not.
Okay, I
and they
just
will
wanted
not
to
shut up about it in Cobra Kai. Holy shit. They won't let it go. He is the two. So the only reason I knew the outcome of this movie, by the way, was because of the show and how they would not stop talking about how he is the 2-time champ and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, man. He's really trading on those glories of when he was 17 years old, right? As a fully grown adult. Holy shit. So were you guys familiar with this franchise before we watched this?
Not intimately, no.
Pop culture references only.
Yeah, I saw the first two. I don't remember the second second one nearly as much, but I mean, I've seen those, and then this one I had no idea it existed, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah, you and the rest of the world, I think this one's kind of like swept under the rug in terms of how people regard it. It's funny you should say that about pop culture references for Roddy, because I was thinking about this earlier, like all of the whole Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off stuff, and like the crane kick as well. That was shit that we emulated in the playground when I was a kid. And I'm just thinking, was that like an early version of what memes were? Just us doing all this fucking shit from movies like in real life?
Kids emulating what they saw on TV and movies? Yeah. I mean, kids do that now still. I think it's perpetual.
Yeah, everyone has a story of like kicking the shit out of their friends because of TV.
I mean, the pro wrestling was a huge. I know so many kids that in their basement would just be friggin' pile driving each other and body slamming.
I'd just like to state that I'm raising my hand here and saying, fuck yeah, that was me on my friend's sofa every Saturday afternoon.
I wasn't an only child, so I never did any of that. So whenever I had to go to like a cousin's house and they have brothers, I was like, I don't understand this world and I want no part of it.
Oh yeah. No, like mine was the generation of Jackass.
Oh.
Where like I had
I'm
two best
also
friends.
raising my hand
There
here.
you go. I had a couple of best friends, and their older brother at the time would he would do all the Jackass stunts and like try and kind of get us to be the audience to see how like stunt it is, like how bad it was. And yeah, no, I feel that exact same way, Roddy, where it's just like, ew. What is siblings? What is that?
So kind of like that. So kind of like that movie Hot Rod with
exactly. What is it? Andy
Samberg.
That's it.
Amazing movie.
Yeah, I just saw that
Love
recently
that
for the
movie.
first time. It's pretty good. I like it.
It's great. We used to emulate Jackass stunts a lot. Me and certain people who I know damn well are listening to the show right now, in parking lots and shopping trolleys, getting pushed into bushes. Yeah, I've injured myself in several ways emulating that shit in the past.
So wait, when this movie came out then, was there like an increase of people going into like learn about karate?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember this movie came out. I didn't see it until it came out on VHS, but everybody was karate kicking the shit out of one another in my primary school. Just crane kicking. I mean, they basically banned. We used to call it toy fighting, like as in it was like fake fighting, and it just got flat out fucking banned at my primary school. If we so much as like lifted a foot, we were in serious fucking trouble.
Yeah, the same thing happened when Power Rangers started airing on network television. There's all these kids that are trying to kick each other. Before that, it was Pogs, people buying the serrated slammers and putting each other's eyes out.
Kids are fucking vicious.
Did I ever tell you guys that I once filed a plastic spoon into a shiv at elementary school to prove a point about how stupid their like restrictions are, and I was just like, oh well, I could turn this into like something bad, so that I did, and I didn't show anyone because I knew that was a bad idea, but I was just like, just to prove that like I can turn anything into a weapon, so what's the point?
Did you go to elementary school in a prison?
Probably.
No, but it's like it's like the teenage like or like kid set of mind. If an adult tells you something that you can't do, immediately you're like, I will prove you wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
I still have that frame of mind now. So
when I was a kid, there was the boys in my class would fold paper into what they called ninja stars, which was really just a tightly folded square thing with sharp corners that hurt.
Yeah.
we used to do the folding the paper thing and then firing it in an elastic band.
Yeah.
I nearly blinded a kid doing that once. Sorry, Scott, if you're listening. You're fine. You're fine.
Does a flying crane protect you from flying ninja stars? No.
Yeah. Just to kind of continue on with this, I went to school in a prison thing. This one time when I was in grade 2, so yeah, it would have been around grade 2 that I was taking karate. I was stabbed in the stomach with a pencil.
What the fuck?
It was totally by accident.
I mean, but still.
The kid kind of ran into me weirdly enough, he was carrying it weird though. So then
Yeah.
like I ran into the pencil and he had just sharpened it, so it like cut open my stomach. Yeah, so it wasn't very bad or like a deep cut or anything like that. But when I would go to karate, the belt sat just where that cut was, and it would rub up against it. So it actually ended up like being infected, and it grew like 5 times the size of what it should be. And I remember I took pictures and that was my show and tell one week was my gross infected. And I just like, I would not let that go for years. I was in the same class with that guy for like 6 more years afterwards. Every year I brought it up. I was just like, oh, what you gonna do? You gonna come at me?
I think I can see now why you made the spoon shiv. Just
hell yeah.
Yeah,
for protection,
self-defense.
for protection purposes on the schoolyard.
Definitely not a demented child or anything. It was definitely self-defense.
Nobody knows where that kid is now. Probably like buried in a ditch somewhere, right? At your hands.
No.
Do you have a scar on your stomach?
I don't know, which I'm very impressed because like it was massive. Like,
damn.
Really gross. So
cool. Okay. Well, we learned Laura went to school in a prison, so I guess let's do a little bit of background on the Karate Kid movies before we get into this fucking shit show of a film. The first movie was written by Robert Mark Kamen. It was his second movie after the 1981 movie Taps, which features a very young Tom Cruise in it. Kamen's actually like a really prolific screenwriter. He wrote Lethal Weapon 3. He wrote all those Taken movies. He wrote all the Transporter movies. His wheelhouse is very much those kind of one-man army flicks, and hey, good for him. He's like carved out a really solid career doing it. But Karate Kid was actually a semi-autobiographical account of Kamen's childhood. In 1964, he got his ass kicked by a gang at the New York World's Fair. And subsequently decided to learn martial arts to defend himself.
That's hilarious.
Apparently he didn't like the first teacher he found, who wanted to use karate as a means of offense rather than defense, which is oddly fucking in tune with what Cobra Kai is. But then he hooked up with a Japanese tutor who didn't speak any English, but was himself a student of, wait for it, Shojun Miyagi. Who was a very famous martial arts instructor in the early half of the 20th century, and like the character of Mr. Miyagi, was from Okinawa. So the studio hires John G. Avildsen to direct based off the massive success he'd had with Rocky. Obviously, this guy knows how to do sports underdog movies. Here are some of the people that they were considering for the lead role of Daniel LaRusso. Sean Penn, who was like fresh off Fast Times at Ridgemont High at that point, but that was probably like right around the time he started dating Madonna. So I guess he was fucking busy somewhere else. Nicolas Cage.
Oh, no thank you.
That would have been hilarious.
Oh, God, I would love to see Nicolas Cage in that movie.
How old would he have been when...
Cage, I don't know. He would have been like early 20s back then. The original movie was what, 1984? So yeah, he would have been like early 20s.
I just, for some reason, even like, I can't imagine a teen Nicolas Cage. Is that weird?
Yeah, me neither, actually.
Like, I just always seen him as an adult.
I mean, again, he's in Fast Times as well. So
yeah, it's fun to go back and watch older Nicolas Cage roles because it's before he, cultivated the voice.
Sure.
Except for Peggy Sue Got Married, where he is imitating Pokey from the Gumby cartoons, and the director wanted to strangle him.
Well, the director of that movie was his uncle. So
yes.
Yeah, it's Francis Ford Coppola directed that.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was Sofia Coppola that directed that.
No, she would have been like fucking.
Oh shit! Sorry, you're right. Sorry, you're right. Yeah. He did not. He got the role because of his family ties, and he very nearly lost it for doing a really stupid.
Yeah, he's
voice
part of that whole Coppola dynasty. Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez both went up for the role. I bet that caused some awkwardness around the Sheen family dinner table that night. And the other person of note who was in the running for this role is poor old Eric Stoltz. And I guess Eric Stoltz passed so he could go and do Back to the Future instead. Whoops.
I can picture Emilio Estevez doing this role.
You think?
Yeah. I feel like he would be less annoying than the kid that ended up playing.
The movie he did instead of Karate Kid was Repo Man, which is probably an infinitely better movie. So yeah. I'm kind of grateful that he didn't get this role.
Yeah.
They eventually settle on Ralph Macchio, who had given like a solid performance the year before in, hey, we just talked about him, Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders.
Was he wasn't Johnny, was he? Or no.
Yeah, he's Johnny Cade. Yeah, he's
That's
Johnny Cade in
insane.
Outsiders.
I didn't know that. What the heck?
Yeah, I mean that Outsiders cast is stacked. You've got
I love that movie.
Young Tom Cruise in there. You've got Rob Lowe's in that movie. I think.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. Soda.
Mm-hmm.
Soda Pop. Love him.
Is it like, did you all have to watch it because it was a high school book? Because that's the only reason I know of the Outsiders.
Mine was elementary, I think.
Was it elementary? Oh,
I never did it in school. Nope.
I wish.
I mean, I guess this movie kind of like made Ralph Macchio and also kind of sank him at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's kind of worked consistently ever since, but he's never kind of gotten away from the fact that he is Daniel LaRusso. I mean, I dread to think how many people pass him on a day-to-day basis and like try and get him to do that crane kick from the end of the first movie. That must be super fucking annoying. Another thing that blew my fucking mind when I was researching like the background of Karate Kid was that the producers originally wanted Toshiro Mifune to play Mr. Miyagi. If you don't know who that is, he was Akira Kurosawa's guy. He's in like Rashomon, Seven Samurai, a bunch of like great Kurosawa movies. But apparently he didn't speak a lick of English, and they felt it would have slowed the production down to a crawl to cast like a non-English speaking actor in the part.
Yeah.
So Pat Morita tries out for it, and the producers pass on him initially.
Yeah.
Because Morita was a stand-up comic, and he was known for doing sitcoms in the 70s.
He was in Happy Days, and
he was Arnold in Happy Days.
Yeah, and people are like, they were like, yeah, people are just gonna think of you as Arnold. This isn't gonna work. And then he went away and grew his hair out.
Yeah, he grew his hair out, grew a beard, like started imitating his uncle's like dialect and the way his uncle spoke. I mean, yeah, he was in Happy Days, but he was in MASH. He was on Love Boat. He was on Welcome Back, Kotter with our good friend John Travolta.
Yep.
And you know what? He came back, aced the audition, got the role, and got nominated for a fucking Oscar for it as well. Anyway, the movie comes out in the summer 1984, and it blows up huge. Like I say, everybody was fucking imitating this movie when it came out. It wasn't like Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop kind of huge, but it was one of those like biggest hits of the summer still, yeah.
84, 85 was a big...
oh yeah, that was a banner year for blockbusters, both of those years. Columbia Pictures obviously like rushed a sequel into production, so 2 years later we get Karate Kid Part 2, which relocates Daniel and Mr. Miyagi to Okinawa, and also it's not terrible. It's fine. It kind of does some interesting stuff as far as sequels go, and that ends up making even more money than the first movie, so obviously Columbia's eyes light up again, and a third movie is greenlit, which brings us to here, I guess.
And what a joy it was.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is not good. And
no.
I mean, okay, for a start, it's called Karate Kid, and Ralph Macchio is 27 when he's shooting this.
Yeah, you could tell. You could tell in the movie. I was like, how old is he supposed to be? Because he looks like 30.
I believe the age in the first movie, like he definitely looked more kid-like in the first one. Second one.
So I guess he's 21, 22 when he shoots the first one, right?
Yeah.
So you can pass for 17, right?
Yeah. And then, in this third one, I was noticing he was not looking nearly as same. I guess.
Nearly as
like,
same.
Yeah, he aged, and it was not gracefully, I guess.
Because, like, I assumed he was, like, 20, like, that the character was supposed to be 20, and then later on in the movie, they said something that made me think he was actually supposed to be younger, and I'm like...
No, he's meant to be 17. This takes place, like, a couple of months after the end of the first movie.
Well, he's supposed to be in college, isn't he?
Well, then I guess 18 at a push, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be, like, I assumed that when Kreese was going to the airport and they were coming out of the airport, they were literally landing from Karate Kid 2.
That's right. They're literally coming back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
That's what I
Sorry.
assumed, at least.
Sorry, I'm both Canadian and an older millennial, so there was an extra year of high school in there, and
okay.
My numbers are all screwed up because of that.
Victory lap.
I have a weird... No, well, I wasn't... It would take too long. I mean, you didn't have to do OACs, did you, Roddy?
No, I was before me. See, maybe that explains this movie. He took a year off that we didn't see, where you also went to Where did Kreese go for, like, no apparent reason?
Oh, Tijuana?
Tahiti.
So maybe he also took a trip.
I mean, no, because like literally the time frame between the start of the first movie and like the end of the third movie is literally like 6 months.
He spent a really long day in the sun.
Yeah.
Maybe. Let's do the box office for this one because the
Yeah.
box office chart's kind of interesting this weekend. So this movie opened on June 30th, 1989. It opened in third place with a solid but somewhat unspectacular 10 million. It went on to make 38 million, which is basically a huge disappointment after the second installment had made like 112 million 3 years earlier. Number one that weekend and retaining its place at the top for probably most of that summer was Tim Burton's Batman, which was just, fucking massive and unavoidable that summer. It had already made 100 million in 10 days by that point, which is crazy fast to make that amount of money in 1989. Any Batman fans in the house?
I'm all about the DC. I enjoy making fun of it as much as I enjoy the properties of it that are properly made.
We should stress that we are recording this episode a mere 3 hours before the fucking Snyder Cut drops.
Gosh, you're counting down?
Well, I just figured that it drops at midnight and it's like 9 p.m. already. So
Sorry, that's another topic. Another day.
I need to make fun of this miniseries. I need this in my life.
Is it a mini? It's not even a miniseries. It's just a straight 4-hour.
Oh, is it?
Movie.
I thought it was like 4 episodes or something.
No, I think it's just a straight 4-hour fucking movie.
Okay.
Longer than Gone with the fucking Wind.
Wow.
Was the first Batman really campy? Because a part of me wanted this movie to be more campy.
You mean the first Tim Burton Batman?
Yes, the one that came out.
I don't think that's particularly campy. No.
In its own way it is. Compared to like the Christopher Nolan movies and the Zack Snyder movies, yes, campy. But at the time it wasn't really considered that campy.
No, it wasn't. I think what you've got there is you've got a real campy Jack Nicholson performance in the middle of everybody else playing it super straight.
Oh, Jack Nicholson is fucking brilliant.
Well, after we go to the box office, I want to know who's the better villain.
Out of who?
Jack Nicholson or this John Kreese guy, you mean?
John Kreese isn't really a villain in this. It's the other guy with a ponytail.
Oh, right. Sorry. Ponytail
Never trust
guy.
a man with a greasy ponytail.
We'll get to him. Don't you worry about that ponytail wearing motherfucker. We're going to get to him. Number 2 at the box office that weekend is a movie that I kind of still love to this day. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, starring our hero, Rick Moranis.
So fun. It's such a fun movie.
There's a reboot winging its way to us soon, starring Josh Gad. Do you guys remember last year when I forgot Josh Gad's name for a whole hour?
Oh my god, it took you so long to remember.
It was really stressing me out.
Yes.
There's a German movie that's unrelated where it's Honey or whatever, I Shrunk the Teacher, and I swear I thought it was a sequel based off that franchise, but no, it's just this German take where they shrink a teacher and then their German sequel they shrink the parents, and I was so confused.
And it's not porn?
No, what? No, not everything for Germany.
Shout out to our German listeners.
I Shrunk the Teacher is basically every episode of Magic School Bus. So
True.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
What?
Just keep going.
Oh my god. Wow.
Uh,
I'm guessing it's a school bus that has magical properties of some kind.
Yes, that is a good call.
Well, it's
Okay.
okay.
Voiced by Lily Tomlin.
You grew up watching the Flying Crane, and we grew up getting making mistakes and getting messy and having a really awesome education.
With a frizz? No
Yeah.
way.
Miss Frizzle. Yeah.
Anyways,
She was great. Neth, get on it.
You guys are just making that up.
Hive minding.
I'll tell you what we had. We had the Singing Kettle, and you can Google that after the show.
Okay.
Number 4 that weekend also co-starred Rick Moranis. I guess he was having a banner summer in '89. It's Ghostbusters 2.
Oh.
We can just fucking skip over that one. I feel like we may have talked about that movie enough already. Number 5 is another sequel, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I spent a good chunk of my life arguing that Last Crusade is just as good as Raiders. And I went back and rewatched that entire franchise in the space of a couple of days in the summer, and I was wrong. It's not.
No. It's still better than Crystal Skull.
It's better than Crystal Skull.
Obviously.
It's better than Temple of Doom, but I don't like Temple of Doom anyway. But it's kind of sluggish, and it doesn't really have the same sort of scrappy charm as the first film.
Yeah.
And it's only really Sean Connery that's kind of given it his all in that film. But yeah, like you say, better than Crystal Skull.
Yep.
Elsewhere in the top 10, we've got 2 of my all-time favorites hanging around. Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Ooh.
yeah.
And Phil Alden Robinson's Field of Dreams. I still watch both of those movies regularly. I've actually seen both of those movies at the Fox Theatre here in Toronto in the last couple of years. Shout out to the Fox. Love those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And also in the chart, we've got another sequel, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, is kind of kicking around at the bottom.
Was it really the final?
No,
not at all. Although it maybe should have been, but holy shit, that film's bad.
hippie Vulcan cult guy commandeers the ship with his magic therapy powers and goes looking for God. It has some good moments. Mostly it's pretty stupid, though. It has a few good scenes, but...
I mean, they do find God, or at least some approximation of God at the end of that movie, right?
Spoiler alert that it's just a fucking alien that is like, I'm God! Which is a little bit like there was like many episodes of TOS that were basically that, so it was kind of a stupid thing to put in a Star Trek movie, but it did have some genuinely good moments, but and Cybok is an interesting character, but other than that, plot pretty stupid.
All right, should we get into the Karate Kid Part 3?
Do we have to? I guess so.
I mean, that's kind of the point of the show, Roddy. It's kind of why we're here.
Can't we just delay the inevitable like this movie did with the fight?
Oof.
It takes a long time for anybody to do any actual karate in this movie,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I think I clocked it at about 50 minutes before anybody does any karate in this film.
This is why when I was first watching this, I was like, I don't get it. Is this movie about like this Kreese character? We're spending so much time on him.
Yes.
I got so confused.
There seems to be an awful lot of trouble gone to saving Kreese's ego or some shit. I don't know how to quantify that. It's like, why?
The entire opening credits of this movie play out over scenes from like the first movie with like a little bit of Karate Kid 2 thrown in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is also all we get of Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka in this film.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're going to have to wait another 28 years or so to get some more of that character. Look, we'll talk about Cobra Kai in a bit, but holy fuck. How good is William Zabka in Cobra Kai?
Oh, he's so good.
That is just such a great performance that he does in that show.
He's really held on to that character, and I really kind of commend him for it, because a lot of people could lose it. Like, we'll go into Ralph Macchio in the show as well, but I feel as though Johnny is, I could picture it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just because he's the same character. Like, I feel as though that's where he went, and like, he's doing this right, and I don't know, I just like him.
Possibly my favorite protagonist on a TV show at the minute, Johnny Lawrence.
See, you guys are mean. I haven't watched it yet, but like having to actually sit through this movie when knowing that there was something better out there within reach.
That's what I had to do. Is once we decided last week that we were going to do Karate Kid, I sat down and I could not stop watching Cobra Kai. Because
it's a real easy binge watch, that show.
So good. And like
Real
literally
easy.
the night that we had finished recording, I watched pretty much the entire first season.
Yeah.
And it was so easy, and I remember like looking up at the clock and I'm like, I have to go to work tomorrow. Whoops. But you know what? I don't mind, because it was fun.
Fucking A, worth it.
Well, that's the thing is though, like this movie built up that character in the opening scenes because it showed his feelings of like losing it. And when Kreese takes it out on the kid, like you feel for the kid and you want to follow him, but instead we have to go through Kreese being like, oh, I'm so angry.
Yeah, that's what we get for the first 10 minutes of this movie, is we're following John Kreese around. He's played by Martin Kove. He was the owner of the Cobra Kai dojo in the first movie. Much like my karate tutor, it turns out all of his students have deserted him.
Yep.
And he's just kind of a fucking stumble bum at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this is, like I say, even though this is like mere weeks after the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
And also, all of his students left just because some punk kid beat his star pupil at an under-18s karate tournament.
Okay, but do you think it's really the fact that they left, or is it because they witnessed him strangling Johnny?
Yeah.
Because if I saw my karate teacher strangling another kid, I don't know if I'd be going back either.
I think the parents may have gotten wind.
And it wasn't even a
his-
light strangle.
Yeah. No, his face was red. It was red, like...
Not that a light strangle would make a difference. Any strangle, you should like leave that dojo right away.
Yeah, Roddy, I was just wondering what your sliding scale is for strangulation of children.
But like, no, I guess for me, it was just like, to actually see the redness, it was the one where like, there's a thing with this movie where like, the violence is like on a extra level that I didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a PG-rated movie, might I add. So,
and it keeps cutting to like some picture or article or something about Kreese being in Vietnam, and I'm like, I'm not gonna feel sorry for him, movie. You can't make me feel sorry for this guy. If he has problems, he should go to therapy rather than strangling children.
Just to spin it back around to Cobra Kai, as I kind of feel like we're gonna do a lot in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
This is indeed a stealth Cobra Kai episode. We had a couple of people mail the show and ask if we were going to talk about Cobra Kai. Well, fucking here it is, people.
It's going to be a long episode.
Cobra Kai actually does a better job of making Kreese somewhat sympathetic, if not completely sympathetic, because we do get these flashbacks to him in Vietnam. We do kind of see like the hell that he went through, and it goes some way to explaining as to why he's such a fucking hard ass about all this stuff. That said, that doesn't excuse any of his actions in this movie, because Cobra Kai was not a fucking thing when this movie was around. This is like some fucking straight up revenge plot nonsense going on here. So we find out Cobra Kai is actually like some kind of franchise. So Kreese goes to see his boss and also former Vietnam buddy. Put a pin in that. We're going to come back to that in a second.
I get the impression I got was that Cobra Kai was the name that either their unit had, or like some small group of them within their unit in Vietnam called themselves the Cobra Kai.
They actually explain it in the third season of Cobra Kai. I don't know if we want to get into spoilers for the third season because it's fairly fresh. But...
yeah, if we can stick kind of away from, because I'm in 2 right now.
Okay, all right. I will just say that they explain why it's called Cobra Kai in the third season.
Oh, I'd be curious to know.
I'm just talking about the movie. In the movie, they imply that it's named after something that they were doing in Vietnam.
Yes, absolutely.
It's entirely vague in the movie, though, and I would imagine that they flesh it out in a more cohesive fashion later on.
It is literally to do with cobras.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, he goes to see his boss, who is Terry Silver, played by Thomas Ian Griffin, and oh my god, this fucking guy. He's meant to be a Vietnam vet as well, but he's younger than Ralph Macchio when they shot this fucking movie.
Which is weird. He looked older.
Yeah.
He's some rich asshole who keeps talking about looking for places to hide toxic waste. It's so cartoon supervillain. I don't even like... I'm like, is that his business? He just finds places to put toxic waste?
Thomas Ian Griffin, this guy showed up in a lot of straight-to-video action movies in the 90s. And, like, in fairness, he's actually a pretty competent martial artist.
Yeah.
But he's not exactly packed in the acting chops, if you catch my drift.
Yep.
He was the bad guy in the John Carpenter movie Vampires, which also starred a notable piece of shit James Woods.
Yeah,
and
I remember that movie.
A bad movie.
It's very silly.
Yeah, this Terry Silver character, he's pantomime villain 101, this guy.
Smoking a cigar in a sauna.
Anyway, Daniel and Mr. Miyagi arrive back from Okinawa, and they find out that their apartment building has been sold off, and that Daniel's mother is like fucked off to look after some uncle who's dying of emphysema, and they try and like make a joke out of it.
Yeah, no.
With him like ringing a bell to get her attention, and I'm like, yeah, he's ringing the bell because he's fucking dying of emphysema.
Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering, has Mr. Miyagi like adopted Daniel at this point?
Pretty much, because they went like literally across, like halfway across the world, and they did their thing, and like he's been there for a while. So now, because she says like something about 8 months.
Also, that scene was doing a lot of work. It was like, it's establishing why his mom is gone. It's establishing why we don't see presumably his love interest in the second film.
Like the building, the building is getting sold. His mom fucks off to somewhere else and literally doesn't tell him, and he only gets home like 2 days early or something.
Yeah, because he wanted to surprise her.
It's like, how was she gonna tell him that this was happening? She was just gonna pin a note to the door, was she? Or
I feel like anything with this movie, it's like it does a lot of like work to explain things that should be very simple. Like even the villain's plan in this movie, a part of me is like, why is this such a hard plan? Why are you going through so many hoops
He decides
to do
to get
this?
his revenge by helping Kreese open 20 more dojo locations or something for Cobra Kai, even though A, he can't put students in his current one, and B, it's not like he's going to be teaching at those 20 locations. Like, who the fuck are they going to get to teach at those 20 locations? Like, it doesn't, there's no, like, their business, Kreese's business is literally tanking, but his friend is like, no, I'm going to save it. And it's like, why?
But can anyone explain to me the evil villain's plan? Like, in a simple way.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because the plan is fucking ridiculous.
It doesn't make any
They're
sense.
basically going to all of this trouble and doing all of this fucking sinister shit just because he lost at a fucking under 18s karate tournament.
So, can I just say, with the scene where Mr. Miyagi has to clean out his office,
Heartbroken?
I wasn't ready to be emotional that fast, okay?
Yeah, we find out he's fucking broken. It's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, because he just came home, because the building was sold, he just lost his job, and they were cleaning out all of the bonsais, and Daniel just kind of makes an off-the-cuff joke about, hey, maybe you should open a bonsai shop with all of these. And Miyagi says, only in my dreams, and my heart literally shattered, and I wasn't okay.
And that's testament to how good Pat Morita is, though, right?
Yeah.
He's
So
like,
good.
he really sells it.
Literally, like, all of my notes just revolve around Mr. Miyagi and how wholesome he is, how much I love him, how much I'm so glad he's not disappointed in Daniel, how I'm so sad he's disappointed in Daniel. Like, there's just so much things. That is all, like, this movie is carried on his little old shoulders, and I can't stand it.
Did you find, like, I know when I was watching this, I was just like waiting for him to show up, and then all of a sudden my back was like up straight and I'm paying attention again. When he wasn't on screen, I was like, oh, okay, what can I do now?
I was coming off the high of him being on the screens, because like literally it would be in all capitals, like, oh my god, I love him, and then like something would happen and I'm just like, okay, cool. But remember that time Mr. Miyagi said, you know, whatever, like literally 30 seconds ago? That was a great part of the movie.
I guess the problem with this film is that they actually didn't use Mr. Miyagi that much.
No, that's a huge problem with this movie, especially on the back of part 2, which is very focused on Miyagi and like deals with his family history and stuff. He really is just kind of relegated to like a fucking background character in this movie.
Daniel is carrying it and not super well. Like, I feel like he hasn't really progressed as a person in this movie.
Well, this movie spent more time caring about the villains and their motivations than like actual like Daniel or Mr. Miyagi and like all the, I don't know, the tree.
Daniel spends a lot of time getting his ass kicked over a form.
Yeah.
I mean, look, fucking, I'm just going to lay it out there. Daniel LaRusso is a whiny little asshole in this fucking film. He is not a likable. I mean, look, he was a motor mouth in that first movie and he like learned a little bit of humility in the process. Here he is just fucking annoying.
Okay, but I know Roddy might disagree with me, but him using his college fund to repay Miyagi by buying him the bonsai store that they're going to open together, I loved that for him. Weirdly enough, I just really kind of thought that he understood just how much Mr. Miyagi has invested in him in the past, I guess, couple of months, and how much he's changed. But like, I just really kind of loved the scene. So it's a little bit further on where he says, after they've cleaned out the office, he kind of pitches that idea again, and Miyagi's like, no, I can't do that. So Daniel goes anyways and buys a lease to a storefront.
See,
the shittiest storefront.
I think for me, it was that it was just a part of his character where, like, first off, he explained that he didn't want that. If you were going to actually go and do this big decision of use a big chunk of money, have that conversation. Like, this whole movie, the reason why he gets into a bigger mess is because he keeps on jumping ahead without talking to people.
Yeah, and I totally agree.
Daniel basically spunks his college tuition for an entire year on 2 months' rent of this shitty rundown building.
Yep.
It's going to take them at least a month to get that business up and running, right? There's no way they're going to be making a fucking profit in 2 months' time. It just feels like such a fucking fruitless exercise. And also, I just want to stress, I guarantee you that Daniel spent a good chunk of that money on cocaine. because he never shuts the fuck up in this film. He just jibber jabbers his way all the way through this movie like somebody coked out of their fucking mind.
Isn't Miyagi's name the one that's on the lease too? Like Miyagi.
But Miyagi then makes a little comment. He's just like, "I want you to be business partner with me," and I'm just like,
well, make that little shit do all the legwork because he boxed you into a corner with this.
Exactly, right?
Basically, yeah.
He picked the building.
Is that allowed? Like, can you just put somebody else's name on the lease and sign for them? I don't think that's allowed.
No,
probably
that's not allowed.
I don't think that would legally hold up.
I'm not entirely sure 17-year-olds can rent business premises either.
That's the thing with this movie, and for any movie, as soon as a character makes an action that does not feel like it would be true to life, it loses you. And so I think I messaged all of you, were like, guys, I need to take a break. I can't.
Yeah.
This is so illogical. This is so...
And that's why I wrote specifically, Roddy's going to disagree.
Yeah.
Because if you... Okay, so take the logic out of this decision, right? No. Take it out. Take it out. This is a 17-year-old impulsive kid. Me. Okay? I understand this point of view. Who desperately wants to repay Mr. Miyagi. And like him pitching the store to him, and he's just like, over here we could put a display and you can make them while people come in. We've got a pottery shop across the street. They can make us like pots for our place. Over here is the hospital where you could fix everybody's bonsais if they do it wrong. Like I just, the happiness, right? And I just, wholesome.
It's a sweet gesture, okay? It's a sweet gesture. It's just a really badly thought out
It is because,
absolutely.
like, if I were Miyagi, I would be pissed. Like, internally, like, this kid just shat out his future for this. Like...
Maybe I'm a little bit more selfish then.
I feel like Miyagi would have appreciated it more if Daniel had continued going to school and had, really done well at it. It never says what what he's studying. I don't know what he's I don't know if he's serious about it or...
In hindsight, we know that Daniel LaRusso ends up owning a successful chain of car dealerships.
Oh, yes. Really?
He does fine.
He's
Don't worry about Daniel LaRusso.
If you look at who he is, right, and yes, the jibber-jabbing, the cocaine tendencies, that kid's not doing well in college. Like, like, literally from my my experience with college, I had a shit time, and I'm not doing coke.
Like, who paid his tuition? Because I doubt it was him.
No,
his parents.
His parents probably scraped together the tuition money, right? And then he cashed it out.
It's hard though, because like for him, it's cute in my opinion that he believes in it so wholeheartedly, and he thinks that Mr. Miyagi can do it, and it'll be a return on investment, and like he's gonna be right there beside him. I think that's adorable, and I think that it's not entirely illogical. Maybe they could do it in like some weird fantasy land where it's not hard to sell things to people, especially plants in the middle of what.
It's kind of a bougie pitch for a store, right? Like, it's a bonsai store. That's very, very niche.
It would have been better off, because it looks like the sort of area of town that he's in isn't exactly the sort of area that hipsters are going to be walking through and being like, "Oh, bonsai!"
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a little booth or something at a market would have been a better investment.
That probably would have been a better.
Start small, right, and see how it goes.
I wouldn't have thought of that either. That's my point. Is I would have gone like, we are buying an entire store. I wouldn't think let's just actually go to like a morning flower thing.
We cut back to this Terry Silver guy. This dude is like Gordon Gekko on steroids. Yep. He keeps talking about pain all the time. You know what's painful? This guy's fucking performance.
True.
Also, Zach Morris' cell phone in this scene. Thank you. Thank you, 1980s. Every time this guy is on screen, I couldn't stop laughing. He's just so fucking ridiculous. He's just takes a lot of bubble baths and saunas, so his skin game is on point.
Yep.
But yeah, he has a couple of henchmen.
Yep.
Called Snake, which is a great henchman name.
Of course.
True.
And Dennis, which is less of a great henchman name. Dennis, fucking Dennis. This kid called Mike Barnes shows up because Terry Silver has read an article about him in a magazine.
He's played by a soap opera actor.
Oh, okay. I wasn't familiar with this guy.
He was in General Hospital for a long time. Then he was in Bold and the Beautiful for a while. And then I think he was back on General Hospital.
Damn, he made a name for himself.
He played a rich, douchey guy on General Hospital. That's all I remember.
Oh, okay. I mean, he just plays a douchey guy
exactly.
here. And I guess the fucking plan is to use this kid to antagonize Daniel to joining the tournament where he will then be beaten by this kid. Again, this is all relating to a loss at a tournament of karate for under 18-year-old children.
Yes.
Jesus.
And it's a tournament that Daniel initially wants to go to, and then Miyagi talks him out of it, and then this asshole comes along and starts trashing his shit, trying to get him to sign this form to go to this tournament that he doesn't even want to fight in anymore. Like, it's like, if you guys want the championship, just let that guy go to the fucking tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
Beat the snot out of some other guy. You could beat the snot out of Daniel on your own time. You do it multiple times in this movie. What the fuck do you need to do it in a tournament for?
It's such a lunk-headed fucking plan.
This was like, out of all of this, I think this was the hardest movie to watch, just because I couldn't get on board with anyone on this film except for maybe Mr. Miyagi. Because, again, the villain's plan, I'm like, this makes no sense. Why are you doing this? Also, everything that you're doing is, harassment.
Yes. Because his plan, I don't know if it's his plan from the beginning, is to get Daniel to be involved in the tournament because he somehow knows that Miyagi won't endorse it, and then he'll try to train Daniel and yada, 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 turn him into his worst enemy or some shit, and then get his ass handed to him at a tournament. I don't know. It's so convoluted.
It really is.
I'm like, this is a lot of work to go through for this kid.
We then meet the love interest of this movie, who is a girl from the pottery store across the street, and she's played by Robin Lively, aka Teen Witch.
A great film. Also, immediately they're in love, and I was like, what?
Oh, she glums onto him very quickly. Within 5 minutes of meeting, she's harassing this guy for a date.
I was like, what just happened there in that scene? What did he do that she's like, oh, you're free tonight?
We should get together sometime. Oh, okay. How about tonight? What?
but the great thing about it is that she's really forward about it. And then when he turns up for the date, she goes, oh yeah, by the way, I have a boyfriend back in Columbus, Ohio, and we're going to work shit out. So me and you are just friend zoning the fuck out of this from now on.
When I was a kid, I did that, but not when I was teenager.
Well, I mean, here's kind of a little caveat on that. Ralph Macchio is 27 years old when he's shooting this. Robin Lively, 16 years old.
What?
Oh,
that
I did
was
not
a
know.
Good call. Good call for the directors.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they maybe changed that script a little bit. To make this very much a platonic relationship and not a romantic one.
Yeah.
Good. Because bad.
Also, I love how they set up her character purely for plot. Hey, look, here's a picture of me rock climbing. I wonder how this will play out later on.
Foreshadowing at its best.
Yeah.
Chekhov's rock climbing.
Yeah.
Swear, did not realize that was going to be a big thing in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh god, it really is. A big unnecessary thing.
See, that's the only cliffhanger that they could ever pull off.
Hey-o.
And then these guys rock up and destroy a lot of extremely fragile furniture and
Oh no, but before that we get Terry Silver sneaking around Mr. Miyagi's place.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This guy is like the fucking Looney Tunes Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. He's got henchmen to do this. Why is he skulking around breaking in?
I had the same question. I'm like, why the fuck is he here? Why isn't get Dennis to do it?
He finds some of Miyagi's documents or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this must have been Dennis's night off, right?
Yeah.
And then he hides up a fucking chimney, the fucking lunatic. What are you doing?
Like, can't be arsed to hire a private investigator to find out stuff about Miyagi or to go to a hall of records. No,
That's how he stays rich, as he does it himself.
he goes through a box. He finds a box of stuff and he goes through it and he's like, oh, okay.
And can I just stress about this guy? And I'm going to keep hitting this point, right? He's doing this all because his dojo lost in a fight against an under 18s karate champion.
Yeah.
And yet, at the same time, he mentions that he's going to bribe a grand jury.
Yeah.
So he's operating on two very fucking different levels here.
He really wants to get one back for
What people
Kreese.
do in their own time is up to them. Do not.
What
He needs a hobby.
What the fuck did Kreese do for him to earn him that level of loyalty? Like, did Kreese save your life, dude? Like, did he? What? Why?
Yeah, I think they mentioned like multiple times or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. But did you guys see the look in Miyagi's eyes when Daniel burned that application for the?
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In my feelings again. I can't with that little old man. Okay.
Bless him. I miss Pat Morita.
Yeah.
He was great.
So good.
I mean, Daniel's initial attitude towards the tournament is kind of like, "Oh, I only have to do one fight. Awesome."
Yeah, which
Spoken
like
a true karate
also.
fanatic.
Yeah, exactly. Lazy little shit.
And then he's just like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. You're totally right. I don't need this. And then he's just like, oh my God, he's learning. And I was like, oh my God.
But that's not like a thing in actual competitions where like, hey, you don't have to fight anyone except for the last fight.
Yeah, that's not a real rule.
Yeah,
No.
That can't
It's
be.
a pretty weird way to do a tournament, to be honest.
I've fought in a few karate tournaments, and that is definitely not how it is done.
This movie is just all these weird conveniences that I was like, I can't do this anymore.
This movie's kind of proof that retaining your same creative team throughout a franchise isn't always key to keeping the quality consistent, right?
Mhm.
Like, it's pretty much all of the same people that have worked on these movies throughout.
Mhm.
And yet, for a movie called Karate Kid, there is just like a shockingly low amount of karate in this movie. It's insane. Really, really digging the Not Your Girlfriend's sweater game in this movie, by the way. She rocks up in this pink number. I was like, this is a bold choice. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, these henchmen then come in and trash Miyagi's bonsai shop. Except Dennis. Dennis isn't there again. Like, is Dennis just like the work experience intern or something?
Yeah, all the furniture shatters instantly at the touch of their hands.
Yeah, because they're so tough for some reason.
This love interest, not love interest, gets kicked right in that sweater, by the way.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah.
She takes a boot to the tummy in this one, and it's pretty brutal.
All she was doing was try and bring Daniel some mac and cheese, which he was wildly, like, very excited about.
Oh, yeah.
He repeated the words mac and cheese like 6 times.
I love mac and cheese. I grew up on mac and cheese, and I'm like,
my
yeah,
God,
if
you
you
love
grew
mac and
up, if you
cheese?
grew up on mac and cheese, I don't know why would you love it though. I don't know. I guess you might consider it comfort food. I don't know.
Yeah, no, on it, I still love mac and cheese, and that
I do,
that was
but
my
I didn't
staple.
grow up on it.
Oh no, that was my staple. I'm all for it. But yeah, like there was that crackhead energy in that scene because I wrote down, I was just like, oh, Daniel, are you having mac and cheese? I didn't hear you the first time.
Yeah,
Like, good Lord.
he's talking like he's high off his tits. Yeah,
But yeah, and then Miyagi strolls up, and then like on their way back to the house, he's humming.
he just starts
Oh, yeah.
singing something.
He's just singing to himself, bless him.
Oh my God.
Sing.
And then little baby man.
I'm like, how the fuck is he supposed to sing along with that?
Right.
I don't even know. It's just you're singing
enjoy.
just some lyricless tune and
The movie should have known its strengths, and honestly, I feel like the audience would have just watched Mr. Miyagi eating mac and cheese with Daniel, and they would be happy. We don't need any of these villains. Just watch them, like struggling to like, I don't know what else could they struggle that's like home related. I just watched that. It's calming.
I mean, look, most of that first movie is just Mr. Miyagi getting Daniel to do chores around his house.
See, and
it's
it works.
fucking great, yeah?
Should have done that. If they were going to rehash a lot of the beats, they should just rehash those.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there is very little training happening in this movie until, like, the end of the movie.
Yeah.
This movie is mostly just people trying to get someone else to sign some papers. I'm kind of thinking, who actually wrote this movie? My ex-wife? Hey,
Oh.
I'm kidding. I watched this movie with my ex-wife at the weekend,
Yeah.
and that's why I have to give her 50% of the credit for everything I say.
Holy shit.
Awkward. Awkward titters.
So yeah, they go back to the house and all the trees are missing.
Yep.
And so is my will to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
How dare anything happen to Mr. Miyagi like that. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Miyagi gets a real bum deal in this movie. He didn't ask for any of this shit. This is all on Daniel.
I guess for me, like, why I struggle with this film is, like, I don't like films where it's, like, constantly a character being harassed and they're put in a position where they can't do anything. It's, like, such a, like, yes, that happens in reality, but honestly, it's a real bummer to watch.
I mean, it doesn't happen like this in reality, I'm pretty sure, because this movie is
no guy would, like,
so fucking detached from reality.
No guy smoking a cigar in a sauna. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, so then we get this sequence of them trying to retrieve a bonsai tree. Apparently it is incredibly valuable and will be able to fund their entire business venture.
Yep.
So Daniel decides he's just going to go straight up and pinch it.
So this is where I flip the switch.
Yep. Daniel, who seemingly doesn't know a ton about bonsai trees. He's just kind of learning at this point. He's learning on the job. I don't think he should be fancying himself an expert.
No, a botanist he is not. Yeah.
He's not a botanist. He's not a business graduate.
Yeah, he's just a dickhead. But okay.
For this movie, the writer and everyone knows, like, oh, how are we raising the stakes now? They use this scene to raise the stakes physically because one of the henchmen is like, oh no, the stakes are raised now.
Oh yeah, he literally says that.
Yeah,
at one point.
so good.
Yeah.
I was like, it's literally for rock climbing in a tree. All right.
Literally in my notes, it says, Daniel, no, he trusted you.
Yeah.
Like, why is that the first thing that you think of is like, I'm going to take my teacher's most prized possession and sell it so that everything will be fine. Like,
and I'm also going to endanger the life of this 16-year-old girl who I just met at the same time.
Oh, well, that goes both ways because she's teaching him rock climbing while he's descending the side of a cliff.
mm-hmm.
And she has rudimentary knowledge of rock climbing, so they seem about equally matched in terms of pretended skill sets.
And then she slips and knocks the tree out of his hand, and that's why bitches ain't worth shit, first of all. So then they have to go all the way down the cliff to make sure that the salt water doesn't wreck the tree. I don't remember, but apparently there was a lot of repeating lines in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it was because they threatened him and they're like, just sign the paper when they took up the rope so they couldn't climb back up. And he's like, I should have just signed this thing. I should have known better. I should have just signed it. I should have signed it the first time. And I was like, Daniel, should he have signed it the first time? I didn't catch that. Like, my God.
Okay, but if they're going to spend a whole movie about signing it, that's why he's saying it so much. Because he spent the last hour being like, I guess I have to not sign this for like the whole movie. It's the whole movie. It's too much to sign a paper. It'd be great too. Like, I'm thinking of it. Are the henchmen smart enough that maybe if you just wrote a different signature, would they have even noticed? If you like wrote like in cursive, this is fake, they probably wouldn't even notice. They'd be like, oh, it's signed.
I mean, I assumed that he just wrote fuck you on that thing, but he doesn't have the fucking brain power to do that, I don't
Or
think.
he could have just mailed it in and then canceled later and just phoned in and been like, you know what? I'm not going to go.
That's what they said. They were like, don't even think about like not like backing out of this place. Like it's you and I.
Like it's a registration form. It's not like it's not
Exactly.
like the cops are going to come after him if he doesn't show up for a karate competition.
I will just stress one more time. This is a karate tournament for children. It is not a legally binding contract in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, it might be embarrassing if they announce his name and then he just doesn't show up. Yeah, it would be kind of embarrassing, but so what?
Exactly. In 5 minutes, nobody's gonna fucking care.
Yeah.
It's like,
But so then the evil guys was like, give me the bonsai, and he split the bonsai tree, and my heart split too. And I didn't know that I cared so much about plants.
Yeah.
Here we are.
And these guys have no idea about the
They don't give a
bonsai.
shit.
They don't know what it's worth. If they knew,
True fucking villains.
If they knew, they wouldn't have snapped it in half.
Fucking asshole.
and yeah, it's still all Daniel's fault,
Yeah.
the little prick. Anyway, Miyagi won't train Daniel, so he ends up like falling for Terry Silver's ruse of getting him to join Cobra Kai. About exactly 1 hour 7 minutes into this movie.
He's time stamped it.
Well, yeah, because it like takes this long to get in this far into the plot.
Yeah.
there's a shot of Daniel driving past some train tracks.
Yes, and the children on the tracks.
I'm so glad I didn't imagine this. There are two kids.
I had to back it up too.
Kneeling down, putting their heads on the train tracks.
On the tracks.
What?
You're telling me they're children? I thought they were adults.
They're children.
Are they literally trying to kill themselves in the background of this fucking movie?
I was losing it last night. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, I'm so glad you saw that.
We're going to need a screenshot of that.
Yeah.
I'll screen grab that and put it on our Twitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are two people kneeling down, placing their heads on the railroad tracks.
Did they not notice that maybe when we were doing
They
that?
probably did, and they were like, fuck it, leave it in.
My notes was also the children laying down on the railway just gives me life. 80 movies are wild.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pastime?
Real Stand By Me moment there, I guess.
Oh my god.
Oh, and just to throw back for a minute to them getting intimidated after almost falling off a cliff. At some point, they basically threatened to rape Robin Lively's character, where they're like, oh, we'll have fun with her too, or something like that.
Super gross.
I'm like, why are there always rape threats? Like, why?
Yeah, especially in 80s movies. It's, I mean, in most movies, right? But again, this is a family film.
Yeah.
Many of these villains should have gone to jail.
Yeah, and yet
absolutely.
none of them do. Barely anybody is met with any consequence in this film. It's fucking insane. Miyagi knocks on Daniel's door after he's like taken a paste in, and Daniel's like, "Who is it?" Despite the fact that he can clearly see it's a silhouette of Mr. Miyagi standing.
He
in
was
his...
stalling.
Okay.
Stalling, Neth. Oh my god, but like, Mr. Miyagi's disappointment hurts me so badly because he looks at the picture of him and Daniel and he's just like, my heart empty without you or something like that. And like, I wrote it down because it cut me way too deep. Heart empty without you, please. Please send help. Like,
I wrote, he made Mr. Miyagi cry.
That's not okay. That's not okay. Daniel's the real villain here, and I know it.
Yeah. And this is after he busted his tree and was like, "I'm sorry, I broke your tree." And then Mr. Miyagi bandages it up, and I was like, "Is that something you could do with trees? I mean, yeah, you could tape it back together, but is it gonna heal?"
I don't think it heals like that.
I don't think that's how trees work. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not how it fucking works. Trees are not arms.
Yeah.
Is this a magic tree? I don't understand.
Yes.
Maybe.
Everybody in this movie is such a fucking dunderhead. A lot of this movie is just Terry Silver hiding behind walls and sneering.
Yeah, what the hell?
He's a real wall hugger, this guy.
And Bill and bullies beating the shit out of Daniel and cackling.
Yeah, there's a lot of evil laughter in this one.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, say something positive for a moment. I really like Bill Conti's score for this movie.
Yeah.
I think he scored all three of the original Karate Kid movies.
Yeah.
It's a pretty rousing score. The movie doesn't really deserve it, but it's good.
Yeah.
They go to the shittiest nightclub I've seen in a film ever.
Oh, yeah.
It's well lit. The band are totally sober.
Yeah.
Nobody is fighting. And they just let Daniel spin dance on this floor and not kick his ass for it. It's insane. The one time that he should be getting his ass kicked and nobody notices.
Yeah. I mean, Robin Lively dancing. I'll watch that.
I loved her outfit also.
She's so cute. She's adorable.
Oh my god.
She's
so
like,
good.
Yeah, she's the Teen Witch. And
makes me want to go back and watch Teen Witch.
Which I watched clips. I stopped.
Condom. Yeah, it's a very, very cheesy film.
I was just gonna say, the fact that Daniel doesn't really question Terry Silver just kind of showing up in this nightclub just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that certainly looks like a place that he would be. Not at all. So the fact that he's just like, oh, you're here too? And then that's it? Like,
yeah, like Terry Silver sets up this stupid gambit where he gets this guy to hit on Teen Witch, and Daniel LaRusso just like fucking belts this guy in the face. I was like, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Fair play, you know?
Honestly.
But Teen Witch isn't thrilled about it, so like Terry Silver and Daniel just run away. Like a pair of wimps? What the hell?
At some point, somebody utters the phrase, "Get out of my way, white boy," which I wrote down, and I can't remember who said that. I can't remember who said that, but it was not a person of color. I can guarantee. Okay. You can pretty much guarantee that, so I don't know.
That's kind of redundant then.
And there's a weird jump cut in the music, because when they're in the club, it ramps up some wicked song, and then it jumps immediately. It cuts to later, and it's a different song. And just,
you know why that is, Fo? It's because they had to edit out the scene where LaRusso and Terry Silver go to the bathroom and do a fuckload of cocaine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very global person, Nath. I was like, is it real? It is an 80s movie. But then I had to look at you hard. I'm like, oh no, okay.
Yeah.
So Daniel goes over to Teen Mitch's place to apologize to her. But then instead of apologizing to her, he just kind of starts whining about why Mr. Miyagi doesn't like him anymore. Mm-hmm. I was like, fucking hell, this kid can
You
whine.
won't teach me how to sweep.
Yeah, so he asks Mr. Miyagi to teach him how to sweep, and then Mr. Miyagi hands him a brush, and I'm like, yeah, good.
Here's a fucking broom.
This kid needs to do some fucking manual labor. He is responsible for all of this carnage.
The punnage was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I realized it was a lot of work to get him to this position where he needs to, I guess, be vulnerable and learn his lesson.
It comes hella late in the fucking movie as well, right?
That's why I did the heavy sigh. Because we finally got there.
Yeah, and he turns up at Terry's office in the middle of the night, and Terry's there for some reason.
Yeah, despite the fact that he's rich and has a mansion and drives a Rolls Royce, he's just hanging out in this dojo.
That.
It's fucking 2 a.m. or something. He just turns up at this dojo that nobody
He's really
uses.
committed to the plan, guys. His really convoluted plan. He has to be. He knew that he was coming, and so he was there to be.
So, which means he was staking the place out for hours, waiting for Daniel to show up.
Sounds reasonable in this film.
This guy with a multi-million-dollar corporation where he hides toxic goo and is opening 20 dojos has time to stake out an empty dojo for 5 hours.
What is his fucking end game here? Is his end game simply to upset a child?
Yep.
And to ruin the business of a kindly man from Okinawa?
It's to torture a child who has already been, again, had his ass handed to him multiple times throughout the movie by this guy who could potentially beat him at this tournament. It's just I don't know, just hire that guy to beat the snot out of him. He didn't do a very good job of defending himself, so
yeah, like we say, Daniel shows up to quit the training with Terry Silver because he's learned his lesson. And
we're skipping over all the sequences of, if you hit him here, he can't breathe, and if he can't breathe, he can't fight. And
God, yeah.
It reminded me so much of dodgeball with if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. That's the logic, the level of logic that we're working with here. And he's like, oh yeah, punch this thing. It's like breaking somebody's ribs.
R.I.P. Rip Torn and fucking Patches O'Houlihan. Such a great character.
Oh, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. But just the logic that this guy is using, and you could just the look on Daniel's face where he's like, okay.
It's almost as though Daniel was trying to process it, and then his pride got in the way. So then he just stopped processing altogether. He's like, "Yeah, this is facts.
If he can't stop bleeding, he can't keep fighting."
He's like, "You know what? Sure.
If he can't, you could just pull his eyeballs out. If he can't see, he can't fight. It just
no, you're not
this
wrong.
Fucked up psychotic logic that he's using, and
you just hack his leg off. He ain't gonna be able to kick you
exactly.
anymore.
Well, you know what? You bring up a good point.
What about the referee? I'll just do it when he's not looking. It's
Jesus.
Look over there. Just hack that guy's leg off.
Yeah, just the sheer psychopathic approach to martial arts.
But that's the thing. This franchise has 2 movies to make sure that Daniel should not be at this point. He should be, been beyond this. But instead, here we are.
I kind of like the angle of Daniel getting a peek into what Cobra Kai training is like. I like that angle. It's everything leading up to it that annoys me. I feel like that whole angle could have been bookended in a completely different way. I don't know, he decides to go undercover to Cobra Kai to figure out how to dismantle them and stop other kids from getting abused.
It could have been in a heist movie where they take his bonsai tree and he has to find it in the dojo, which has secret layers and tunnels.
He already got that peak in the first movie in one scene where he walks into the dojo and he sees Kreese like being an abusive tutor, and that's it. And that's all it takes. So why are we just retreading all of that shit in this movie?
Well, because
they need to fill the runtime.
In a way, like I was pretty frustrated too when Daniel kept saying like, I'm being harassed, let me do this. And Miyagi's like, no. And some guy who actually showed promise. And also, can we talk about how the whole thing where Terry was gaining Daniel's trust by beating up Mike in his backyard?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that
scene. That was
scene.
Such a sensual fight between Mike and Terry, because like Mike's like grabbing at his chest as he's pulling back his hair and like leaning into his face, and I was just like, oh my goodness, what a scandal. And like as Mike's leaving, he like boots him in the butt. I'm like, oh my god.
They're definitely having a little sauna time together later on.
Oh my.
Yeah. I mean, the actor that plays Mike is not hard on the eyes.
He's a good-looking dude. He's a good-looking dude, but he's a fucking non-entity as well.
He's barely there.
Yeah.
Except when he's kicking Daniel's ass.
Yeah, but he might be a 50% franchise owner.
Yeah, exactly. That's the deal he cuts.
Oh yeah, that's right. He argues Terry up to 50%.
I forgot that there was a scene. It's like, you said 25%. I want 50.
Terry's kind of turned on for a second.
Let's just fucking put a point on that. This Terry Silver guy is meant to be a multi-millionaire businessman, and he gets gazumped by this punk-ass fucking kid in a matter of seconds.
He pops a bit of a boner when Mike is like, nah, 50%. He's like, oh.
Do you fight as hard as you negotiate?
All right.
Harder.
What is happening?
Like, what a delivery of a line, my guy.
You are turning this into a different movie.
Yeah, but you know what? Better fucking movie. Anyway, yeah, Daniel goes to quit the training, and like you say, Kreese is there. Terry Silver's there, and yes, Kreese is also there because for some reason he's like told Daniel that John Kreese died. I'm pretty sure Daniel will be like, "Who the fuck is John Kreese? I don't even know who that is." But they like concoct this fucking backstory that he's died, and then surprise,
surprise. That's right. They pretend that Kreese is dead.
So, with like the mention of like people coming back from the dead, and like the homoeroticness and essentialness of this franchise. Now I just want to see if this universe can live in the same universe as Fast and the Furious. Could it?
Not for nothing, but Cobra Kai is a Netflix show, and Netflix have that fucking Fast and Furious cartoon show.
Let's go.
There's got to be some kind of crossover potential there, right?
Throw Miyagi into a drifting car. Let's go.
What do you mean, like, what's that movie with Cool World?
Yeah.
Is it Cool World with Brad Pitt, where it's animation and live action?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh God,
Don't
that movie.
fucking invoke Cool World on this fucking podcast.
That movie.
You brought it up by mentioning the animated version of Fast and Furious.
It's that movie. Like, Cool World is so many layers of bad, I cannot even, like, quantify it.
Let's not fucking derail this by getting into how terrible Cool World is.
For another time. I just wanted to know if they lived in the same universe, because I want to see Vin Diesel and...
Also, hold on a second, Fo. Your fucking go-to was Cool World and not Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I didn't know the name of the other one.
Or Looney Tunes Back in Action with my boy.
Exactly.
Hello? Or Space Jam.
Yeah.
Or
Any
Space
of them.
Jam.
Well, Cool World came out at the same time, so that's why it popped in my head.
Ralph Bakshi. Come on, man. Wow.
Yeah, no
Ralph.
thanks.
Bleh.
Anyway, so Daniel is about to get an almighty whooping from these guys when, hurrah, Mr. Miyagi turns up and beats the snot out of these three dudes.
Yeah.
It is fucking
At this point, I
awesome.
imagine Laura is like off the chain, just like on her seat, just like
I
screaming.
stood up. I stood up out of my chair and it was just like, my boy. I have Miyagi is the GOAT.
Oh, God, yeah.
In all caps in my notes. Like, I lost it. I thought it was so cool.
GOAT, goat?
The greatest of all
Of all time, baby.
Oh, I don't know this. Okay.
He is the goat.
Yeah, he is. He beats the piss out of them and he kicks fucking Terry Silver into a can of paint, which is fucking hilarious.
And then he mocks him again afterwards.
Oh, yeah,
Which-
he's doing like all the ooh, ah kind of moves. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
So that's all it really takes to for Mr. Miyagi to decide that, yeah, he will train Daniel. And, an hour and 35 minutes into this movie.
Took way too long.
We get a training montage.
Did you notice that with Mike's first scene, so then it goes from Daniel's scene where they're like on the beach and everything, and then it goes to Mike and he's punching through bricks and blocks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They showed the exact same clip twice in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't notice it, but I thoroughly believe you.
It's a really lazy montage that they do there.
It's very half-assed.
Because half of it is flashbacks or something.
It was bad.
Basically, this all hinges on Daniel learning a kata, which was always the most boring part of karate.
Yay, kata.
But regardless, he has to learn how to do these moves to learn how to defeat Mike Barnes, even though he's already shown that he can kind of hold his own in a fight with him, so I don't know. And then we get to the tournament with 5 minutes to go at the end of this film.
And they put the tree back, and they rappel down the side of a cliff without a spotter or anybody guarding the ropes, and I was like, I don't know why you would make that mistake twice, but okay.
Yeah, I know, I guess. The tournament is just such a fucking... It's over in a flash, basically. There's none of the excitement of the tournament from the first movie. We don't see them going through rounds. We just cut straight to the fucking final between these two guys.
Yeah, Kreese rocks up, half the audience boos him. I was like, wow, he doesn't have the crowd on his side.
I mean, more people turn out for this tournament than probably turned out for this movie on its opening weekend, so... and then, I don't know, I guess they have a fight. This Mike Barnes kid kicks Daniel LaRusso right in the balls. I was like, yes, finally.
I was like, is that allowed?
It might shut him the fuck up for 5 seconds.
Just crumpled on the ground. I know it's very anticlimactic for the audience, maybe, for him to lose on purpose, but I really do feel like he should have lost on purpose and just walked away.
It would have been an interesting turn for this movie to take, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because the lesson he was supposed to take from this is that he doesn't need to defend his honor for a plastic trophy.
And yet he still does. So...
And it would have aggravated the shit out of these guys if he had just pretended to be unconscious and just and then they're like, no, you're supposed to suffer for a long time, at least 5 minutes, and he's just laying there.
Little possum.
Or just fucking walks out. Walks out and says, I don't need this. I've got nothing to prove to you people.
Exactly.
That would have been a fairly adequate lesson for this movie to teach.
Absolutely.
But no, it doesn't. It doesn't bother doing any of that.
No.
It just basically has him doing the kata and beating this Mike Barnes kid.
But yeah, even when Mike was trying to really get under Daniel's skin, he got under mine because he wouldn't shut the fuck up and wouldn't stop repeating the same thing. He's like, your shit, your karate shit, your sensei shit. He's shit. And I'm just like, stop it. Shut the fuck up. And I was just like, you know what? At this point, Daniel, kick his ass. Just get him out of here. I'm done with this guy. I'm done with this character. I don't need you to grow anymore because you ain't gonna. Just kick his ass.
Yeah, and then the movie ends. And it doesn't even... the first movie ends
the
on
best part.
It ends on a triumphant freeze frame of Mr. Miyagi in that first movie. It doesn't even do that here. It just cuts to some fucking shitty 80s song.
Yep.
I
was watching it on Netflix, so it immediately queued up the Unabomber for some reason.
Damn. What's the link there?
Boom! Smash cut to the Unabomber documentary. I was like, oh, Netflix, you know me.
Is that what Terry Silver went on to become? Did he go on to become the Unabomber?
Maybe.
This movie, not great. Really, really sluggish.
Yeah.
Doesn't have much charm to it,
Like I said, it had a few good ideas that were set up in a really half-assed fashion.
Pretty much. Do you guys want to do a quiz?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Is it a telemarketer? I don't know, guys.
Is that the fucking podcast landline ringing? I haven't even paid the fucking bill for this thing. How are people still calling into the fucking show?
I keep forgetting we even have that feature.
Were you locked into a contract?
Maybe that's what it is. Fucking bell. Can somebody get that, please?
Yeah, I got it. Hello?
Hey, is your refrigerator running?
I hope so, yeah.
Oh, then you better go and catch it. That's right, it's me, Terry Silver.
Oh.
Here to tell you a little bit about pain.
Oh.
I thought I'd hijack your show as part of my revenge. revenge for you shit-talking my movie for the last 90 minutes.
Yo, I got a bone to pick with you. How dare you ever treat Miyagi like that? Why are you here?
Oh, are you talking about that little Okinawa sugar daddy, Mr. Miyagi?
Yeah.
And his little coke fiend friend?
Oh boy.
I tricked them into taking part in a martial arts tournament, and then they won and outright defeated me. That showed them.
I don't think you know what pranks are.
I am the king of pranks. How dare you insist otherwise?
I don't... That's
Margaret,
okay.
Margaret, I need my bubble tea, Margaret.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I'm in my bubble bath right now, drinking my bubble tea.
Very on brand.
Yeah.
You say I don't know about pranks? Let me tell you about a prank I played once. One time, I called a local bar, and I asked if I could speak to Amanda Hugginkiss. And the bartender shouted it out to all his patrons. And then I called back and demanded he put Mike Roch on the phone. And oh boy, was he mad. He felt the pain.
That's very 1989 Bart Simpson.
I have no idea who you're talking about. Another prank that I may have pulled in my nefarious past is that one time I took a job at a Pennsylvania paper company, and I managed to work my way up to the position of salesperson. And there was another fellow working there, and he was quite eccentric, and I didn't care for his demeanor in the slightest. So instead of making his knuckles bleed, do you know what I did?
What?
I'm sure you're going to tell us.
I hid his stapler inside a mold of Jell-O, and I'll tell you, he felt nothing but pain.
Did he eat the Jell-O?
Terry, are you having a personality crisis?
I have plenty of personality. None of it is in crisis.
I think all of it is in crisis. Terry, what have you been doing?
Well, I have a penchant for playing pranks on people, and this all started in high school. There was this deeply unpopular girl there. I can't quite remember her name, but anyway, we rigged it so that she became prom queen. And when she got up on stage to collect her crown, we tipped pig's blood all over her. Wait, it may have been corn syrup. I cannot quite remember. Either way, she felt the pain. So did everybody else she telekinetically murdered immediately in the aftermath.
I was going to say, did she burn the school down? Because I seem to remember hearing about that.
Yes, because she learned a valuable lesson about pain.
Damn, you are quite the sensei there, Terry.
Seems to be a lot of collateral damage to all of your pranks.
Well, I like pain. Anyway, I just thought I'd call in and say hello and let you know about the business I've been running for the last 20 years.
Uh-huh.
I offer a business where people pay me $1 and I give them a high five. Except when they actually go to high five me, I do that thing where I retract my hand and run it through my majestic ponytail instead. I'm so evil. I mean, times have been tough this year because of COVID, and eventually I had to stop high-fiving people in November.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I'm hoping that soon I'll be back on track.
Well, we wish you no luck at all, Terry. You're a horrible person, and good luck learning what a prank is.
Well, I hope nobody listens to your fucking podcast.
Holy
Goodbye!
Shit, fuck that guy. You know what? Neth, I need you to cancel that phone right now.
What the fuck? What the fuck was with that dude? He really... A, his pranks are deeply unoriginal, and B, what a fucking prick.
He needs to at least discover the wonders of flaming dog shit, or
Ooh.
Sure.
sugar in a gas tank, or heaven forbid he ever goes on Reddit, because, you know, that could be catastrophic.
I mean, also, what the fuck happened to that guy's voice in the space of the 30 years? He doesn't sound anything like...
I think he smoked a lot of cigars between
Oh, it could be.
1989 and now.
Could be. Smoked a lot of cigars and maybe moved to Europe for a while. All right, Karate Kid 3, would you guys recommend this movie? Let's go
No.
around the horn. Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
Let's not go around the horn then.
Sorry.
Laura.
No, I would not. Listen, we've all just heard my only argument is Mr. Miyagi. He can't do it. Just watch the first one. The first one is lovely on its own. It has all of the same charm. Or watch Cobra Kai.
I was going to say, part of me is like, I felt like I could have used this time better and just actually started Cobra Kai. Cry?
Cry.
Cobra Kai. Is there a lot of that in there?
There's not a lot of emotion in it, but sure.
Megan.
I feel like this movie is a blight on an otherwise good franchise. You know, like first two, solid as far as I know. It's been a long time since I saw the first one. Next Karate Kid is good. It holds up.
Is it, though? Because that thing's got an even lower Rotten Tomatoes score than this one.
Well, the people that don't like it can go piss off. I like
Oh
it.
my god! Everybody's got opinions today.
I like it. Even the one with Jackie Chan in it, decent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you know what? I fucking forgot about that remake.
It's
Yeah,
good.
that remake's okay.
It's all right.
It's
It's
okay.
good. You know, but this one is just a bunch of nonsensical it's just bullshit. It's nonsensical bullshit.
Roddy?
No, I tapped out really quickly in this, and it was so hard to get back in. I had to watch Teen Witch. What else was I doing? Gosh, no.
Now I want to go watch Teen Witch, which is also nonsensical, but that's okay.
I will also join you guys in not recommending this movie. It is a slog to get through. It really doesn't have a coherent plot. There's no real kind of decent character motivation here. And yeah, just to echo what Laura said, just fucking watch Cobra Kai. It's way better than any show has a right to be, especially a show that attempts to pull like a revisionist take on a classic movie by positing that maybe the hero of that movie was the bad guy all along.
Wild.
I don't know. It's pretty great. And Ralph Macchio is actually really good in Karate Kid, in Cobra Kai as well.
In Cobra Kai, yeah.
Everybody's great in that show. The fighting in that show is fucking spectacular.
I just got to the headbutting episode.
Oh god, yeah.
Holy, just watching them in the background, like just fucking headbutt each other. I'm just like, what is that?
The fight choreography on that show is really fucking impressive. Okay. That was our episode on The Karate Kid Part 3 from 1989, directed by John G. Avildsen. Moving on, guys, I feel like we've watched a lot of fucking bad movies in the last sort of 20 episodes we've done. I'm a benevolent podcast host. I kind of feel like we've earned the right to talk about some good movies.
Ooh.
What do you guys say to taking a week off and then making April good with numbers month?
Please. Holy shit.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, so to do this fairly, we're going to do something that we as a group often do when we can't decide on something. And that is,
which is all the time.
yeah, rely on a fucking random wheel to choose who gets to go first for good with numbers.
It's not randomness. It's called fate.
Okay, a fateful wheel on who gets to go first for good with numbers month. Now, you guys can't actually see the wheel, so you're just going to have to take my word for it.
Okay.
But I'm going to spin a wheel that has all of our names on it. We all know what movie we want to cover. I'm going to spin it. Are you guys ready?
Spin,
Yes.
spin.
Let's go.
Wheel of Morality. Turn.
It's spinning. Oh, okay. Megan, you're up.
Ooh.
Yeah!
Let's hear it.
Back to the Future 2, baby.
Oh, hell yeah. We are off to the final year of 2015. The future.
You made it sound like it was like a spin-off of it. Like it's Back to the Future, comma, baby. And this is like the fourth in the franchise where we see their children have to go back.
Oh my god.
Don't give them ideas.
No more kids.
Yeah, no more kids movies. Get your fucking hoverboards ready, guys.
Woo!
Get your fucking grey sports almanacs out.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I haven't seen Back to the Future Part 2 in a while. I am very excited to go back to this one.
I've never seen it.
What?
You've seen the first one first,
Oh my
right?
god.
Right?
Jesus.
I feel like maybe during like high school when our teacher was like, watch this, and you know, being a teenager and someone tells you to watch something, you're like, no, I want to do other things, like, I don't know, sketch.
The first Back to the Future is held up as a great example of screenwriting in that it's very tightly because they went through a lot of drafts, and it's a very tight story. It has very specific beats. Like it's a great example of screenwriting.
I don't want to fucking precursor our episode too much, but I would say that first Back to the Future movie, yeah, it's pretty close to perfect.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of kind of what you get when you really, really commit to going through like a bazillion fucking drafts of a screenplay and going through all these iterations to find like the perfect version. I mean, you have to settle on a version eventually, but like these guys really, they took their time with the story.
I mean, it helps when you've got Steven Spielberg in your corner, right? So
it helps when you can afford to reshoot 2/3 of the movie.
Well, I'm sure we'll fucking talk about that on the show.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a week off. We'll be back in 2 weeks when we're talking Back to the Future Part 2.
Woo!
You can follow us on Twitter at Bad Numbers Pod. You can find us on Insta at BWN Pod, and you can email the show. We're going to do a mailbag episode, so Jesus, please email the show. Otherwise, we're just going to be sat staring at each other for 90 minutes.
Yep.
bwnpod@gmail.com. Until then, we have been Bad with Numbers from Toronto, Canada. Stay safe out there. Goodbye.
Bye.
I just want to say, you don't like staring at our faces, Neth? Rude.
Either you karate do yes or karate do no. You karate do guess so. Just like grip.